Hello everyone, this is Joey G with Touch of the Brush Model Weathering, and in this episode of our winter scene build we're going to show you how we carved this foam. Now this is styrofoam and it is very toxic, so I really recommend you wearing a mask, have great ventilation when you're carving this stuff. If you are using this kind of tool, this is just a simple needle nose soldering iron, and what I'm doing here is after the styrofoam dries, we are just carving out little strokes, little lines inside the styrofoam, and then using the side of the soldering iron you can start carving out the sides of the foam. This will give you some contours and some shapes. Very easy, very simple, just don't get burned. And you can see here how the process is very easy, and it went really fast. It took me about 45 minutes to carve the entire length of all the foam, and we sped up the film here because we don't want to sit here for 45 minutes watching me do this. But you can see here how the styrofoam took its shape using the soldering iron. Now you can use other styles of knives and files and stuff like that, but look at this technique here. Here I'm using the lines, and then I go inside deep into the styrofoam, and here is where you get a little bit of your rock formation. Look at that. Very easy. Now all that smoke that you see, that's the toxic stuff. I recommend opening up a window. I opened up the window, had a fan blowing, and had on a very heavy jacket because it was very cold outside. But also I was wearing a mask, a construction mask. And see, here is the finished product, or at least almost the finished product here of the whole length of the winter scene. Now that gap in the middle you see there, that's where I put the feeder wires, and that will be later on. I put the feeder wires inside and hid them in the little gap there. Now here we're working on the other side of the trestle scene. Of course, going very fast. But look how simple it is, guys. It's so easy, and it's a lot of fun. It's very relaxing. Just don't breathe the stuff in, that's all I ask. Now we're going to show you from beginning to the end of how we stacked up the foam and started carving and painting the foam here. This side of the mountain is on the left side of the track, and in the middle there is going to be a snow shed representing one of the snow sheds of Donner Pass on the Southern Pacific. And what I'm using here is 1-inch foam, and we're constantly going to cut and stack this all the way on top, so this way we have a totally separate scene of just some landscape from the actual winter scene and the track side scenes that you will see when the train's going past. So instead of using a fascia, I am actually using a scenic fascia, I guess you call it. And I am using just simple Gorilla Glue. This is actually wood glue that I'm using. And you can use any kind of glue that would adhere to the foam. Anything will work. And again, styrofoam is fairly inexpensive compared to other foam. I do prefer the other kind of foam, like pink foam or blue foam, because it is not as toxic when carving. But this is what all I can find. But also the good thing is it's fairly inexpensive. It does make a mess though, because you got all those little balls that fall all over the floor. You have to vacuum and sweep, but that's okay. As you can see here, just constantly cut and stack. Here it is. Now we're starting the process of carving the entire mountain. Now, as we're doing here, we're using another soldering iron That's also needle nose. And with the same process, cutting the lines. Actually, melting the lines will be the proper term. You can see how fast this process goes. And see, I'm using the sides here and I'm making some rock shapes. Now I'm going back here, I'm carving deeper into the rock cut, making some, just a different variety of shapes and sizes and cuts. You can do whatever you like, whatever works for you when you're creating these rocks. This is your layout, this is your creation, but it's very, very simple to do. And after this process, I start painting acrylic white paint as a base to hold all of the foam together. That way it is ready to use your diluted pigments or diluted paints to paint your rock. And we will do this in the next video. I will show you how I paint all these rocks and this big rock cut on the layout. And the whole process took 45 minutes to carve and paint. And make sure you use the paint very thick. You will need it to be thick. So guys, I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope everybody learned something here. This is Joey G with Touch of the Brush Model Weathering. Stay tuned for the next episode as we show you how we paint these rocks for the winter scene. Take care, everybody.